we were told or learned that there is a man or a woman above us who would either refuse or grant us our freedom. If we were lucky enough, this individual who is above us would grant us this God-given freedom. That is only if we are lucky and happen to be either from US or United Kingdom, where the forefathers of these nations came together and said, individual rights, freedom, and justice must be recognized in order for this society to have peace, love, happiness, educational, and economical growth as a whole nations. While other nations, forefathers, like Africa, set up their continent to fail while fighting one another because of their power, even better to say, dividing one another based on their clan, tribal, racial, and political differences. It is my hope we, the young African generation, be smarter than our forefathers and bring strong unity to the continent rather than following their footsteps. To me, it does not matter what the skin color, clan, tribal, racial, religions, and political party one might belong to or have. To me, it is more important to find our common background and work toward African development by building strong unity in order to make Africa a better place for humanity with its great natural resources. I am not a man of politics, but I rather say that I am a man of science and humanity. Most of all, I believe in unity. Do not misunderstand me when I say this. I am neither naive or illiterate about the past. I am well aware of not only our own history of Oromia or Ethiopia, but I am aware of the history of the world, continent of Africa, and more. Unless the oppressed people like Oromo, the largest ethnic group following other oppressed ethnic groups in Ethiopia, such as Adare, Somali, Gurage, Southerners, and other Horn of African groups who live in different countries within the Horn, such as Somali Bantu, who live in Somalia, and other marginalized ethnic groups within other African countries, earned their rights and equalities to live in their own motherland, and focus on making peace, love, and unity with others who are different from their own in terms of politics, race, religions. In all African countries, there will not be neither African stability nor unity. If we Africans dream or wanting to create a strong unity that creates national, educational, and economical development, and are willing to stop HIV/AIDS in Africa, in African countries, we must come together to create individual freedom and the right to live in their own countries with a full respect and dignity. If we fail to do so, Africa, especially the Horn of African countries, going to be the tourism place of developed nations' children, because while Africans are fighting one another based on clan, tribal, racial, political, and religious differences, HIV/AIDS, poverty, and hunger are destroying our today's seeds and tomorrow's leaders of African countries. Therefore, today, before I get into the research I have done on HIV/AIDS in some of the African countries. I will be talking about greatness of unity. I am calling all African brothers and sisters, especially my generation, to be more open-minded than our great-grandfathers who failed to create unity and made African sons and daughters the victims of HIV/AIDS, poverty, hunger, and set us up for illiteracy. When I say this, I am not trying to put our forefathers down or make any African race or any ethnic group superior to others here in this paper, by any means. If I mention any ethnic group or religion in this paper, my aim is to just reference, but not to make that particular tribe or religion to be either inferior or superior to any other ethnic groups or religion at all. Though this paper contains my academic research when it comes to HIV/AIDS with appropriate reference style. In parts, when I talk about unity, it will be 100% based on my opinion of what Africans should do in order to create unity. Another thing to add to this is that none of this paper or the ideas are associated with or reflect on universities I belong to or graduated from, such as the University of Minnesota, University of Nebraska, and St. Paul College. Anybody that disagrees with my opinion, and the academic research I brought into this paper regarding HIV/AIDS should direct his or her points and comments to me, not to my families or any educational institutions that I graduate from or belong to. I am calling on our Mama African brothers and sisters for unity. Unless we create unity based on our common background, rather than pointing out to our differences, there will not be educational and economical development in Africa. There will not be love, peace, and happiness in Africa. There will always be hunger, HIV/AIDS, and genocide in Africa, unless we, Africans, come together and create strong unity despite our religious, political, clan, tribal, and racial differences. I know this from the fact that I am aware of our own African history and the worldwide. There is no country, nations, and even villages that became freedom and free places for humanity without first joining or calling one another for a national unity. Yet, those nations like the United States of America and other free and freedom world were not born with it or have had it all the time, just like our own, as many of us know this. Those nations went through stages we Africans are on today. More specifically, those free and freedom-loving nations like US and the United Kingdom, ethics, had to kill one another because of their racial, religion, and political differences, until that they realized unity was the only way to become economically and educationally independent, which makes those developed nations today the top wealthiest and free nations of the world. I for sure know that we Africans have been destroying each other because of our differences instead of celebrating our differences and leaning on our similarities to build a strong unity within us. Are we going to reflect on the past and keep repeating it, or we are going to reflect